now we're moving on to the android invasion. The thing about the android invasion is it has... Okay, there's one thing about this particular era, mostly Tom Baker's era, that I noticed, at least from what I've seen. Because, with the exception of Genesis, I have seen this for a season now. And I just have one thing to mention that I just find kind of odd. They were making a big deal about going far away from it, far away from the unit era, and getting rid of it. You know, unit was a big standard for, the Pertwee era. And they essentially kind of made them unnecessary, and the majority of their stories took place either at a different time or on a different planet, or both. And the thing I just find a little weird about the android invasion, is it was trying to do a unit story again after we kind of made it clear that we were done with it and we're moving on. That was the thing I found weird. And not only that, but we're bringing in older writers and a former producer to be a director. And again, that's not a bad thing. I mean, both people, Barry Letts, the director, Terry Nation, of course, are great quality creators in what they do. I just find it weird that we brought it back, especially since Terry Nation's big story Genesis happened, which I, again, have not seen. I will someday. Not for this week. But I think coming back and doing this, and from the sound of it, this was a desperate thing. He just left the show and was just, looking for something to do. And they gave him the opportunity to do it again. And another thing I find weird is this is something that does not feature the Daleks. His big creation. Something that I think 8 out of the 10 stories he did around then were Dalek stories. So that's the thing. His wheelhouse is dealing with his own creation, which is fine and it works great. But I think the problem is with that he took out a lot of his weapons and his arsenal and had to figure out how to do something different with these androids, and with the real culprit, which ends up being these goofy rhino-looking aliens called the Crawls, who look like what would happen if you put the Jadoon in a microwave and took their suits away. Oh, and their dignity and acting skill. What little there was. Not saying there was bad actors, but it was just blunt force speaking. No offense, Nick Briggs, your voice is awesome in the role, but anyway, classic, not new. I will say this, though. It starts out awesomely. With them on Earth and, Earth's empty, they see a guy jump off a cliff who ends up being an android, essentially. Good start, trying to figure out the mystery. All the subtle hints that this isn't Earth. Like the fact that, the peel-off calendar doesn't go forward, or all the money's freshly minted. They even made a line that the world looks almost perfect except for small little flubs, like the money being brandly new made, and that sentence isn't real, and all that. And for the time, I like the way the androids look. Yes, it's cheesy, but I embrace the cheese. And not to mention, there's this awesome reveal where we find out they replaced Sarah Jane with one, and that was good. And then it kind of loses my interest when you realize what the plan was. When you realize the plan evolved from, oh look, the androids are being controlled by us. Here's my only question to, the Crawls, who, have the know-how and thought to do this. Not gonna take that away from them. They have the ingenuity. I respect that. I have a question. Why? That's a fair question. Doesn't it seem a little convoluted to create a new Earth? Okay. Their plan, I'm not going to completely reveal, their plan involves this guy they found, who was, in a spaceship, traveled out in space, thought he was lost. They found him. Once they find Crayford, that's his name, they basically just trick him and make this fake world with these androids that, for the most part, make him comfortable. And once the Doctor comes in and reveals the secret, he doesn't care. He just buys it now and goes with them because, well, he's been basically tricked into thinking that they don't care. Destroy them all, whatever. They never came to find me. Okay, I have a question. Why do all this hoax? There's no need to create this. I don't know. It just seems like a giant. Seems too big of a plan to actually do this. And I just don't know. Once you realize, yeah, this is a bit over the top just to do something like this, why not just, do it yourself? Having him as an infiltrator, why really? You have to trick him with androids? It just seems insane. Granted, it's a cool story. You're thinking, oh, these androids invaded Earth. No, this isn't Earth. They built these androids to trick a guy, and now they're going to use the androids to invade Earth. Cool. It's an interesting twist. It's a little weak. I'm just going to be honest. Now, here's the thing. Unit isn't the real unit. It's a fake unit. And the only recurring members we see are Benton, who I know little about other than when I saw him in the Three Doctors, and Harry. We've mentioned Harry before, and we get to see the real Harry at least, I guess. Strong parts. Again, the acting for the Doctor, as always, is solid, but this is one of the golden couples here. Seeing the interactions between him and Sarah Jane are amazing, and it's just half the reason why I kept watching this anytime they talked. Not to mention the actor's performance when they're the androids is great. Cold menace from both of them, especially the Doctor. I even like the scene where, because the Doctor has some of the other androids tricked, they have no idea which one's which, and Benton shoots him, and he's just looking at him cold, going, "There, happy? Now go find him, you fucker." I love that. He's just like, okay, now that we've proven you're incompetent, do your job. God, I hate that guy. He's like a pissed off manager. I love that. But what other performances were good? I thought Crayford was great, playing a weak, entertaining character. You don't look at him as a stupid jackass. You look at him as kind of a sad story. This guy was just doing his mission and kidnapped by these ugly, awful-looking masked monsters. And then I don't know. Here's the thing. He was trying to do something proud for himself. And then he got lost, kidnapped essentially, and brainwashed into thinking that the people who helped him try to achieve a big mission were just getting rid of him and didn't care about him. That's the thing. I find it tragic, and I love how he plays it. It's not over the top wimp when he's the wimp, but he's still trying his best. Now, to the Kralls, like I said, their makeup looks awful. Anytime they talk, it just doesn't look right. You can tell that they're trying to make the mouth move, but it just doesn't work. That's the thing I also want to harp on, because a big thing they made a big deal that they were trying to make was when they did Mask. They liked to do Mask more with, partial Mask, so you could see the eyes and you could see the mouth, because beforehand it looked terrible, which, in all honesty, a lot of the time it kind of did. Even though it just looks kind of weird. And then they do a full-on mask. It just looks even more like a costume, and that's the thing. I can suspend disbelief, of course, but my problem is it just looks too much like a costume. Too far that even disbelief won't allow me to do it. Because at this point, it's not worth it. It also doesn't help that one of them is overacting the high hell. The main one, Stratton, I think was his name, he's trying his best. He's trying to play a menacing character. Then the other one's just like his numbskull, blathering idiot one, at least. At least to me, I don't know. I think he was just playing it a little more over the top than the other, but the thing is, it just seemed to echo in my mind, and maybe that's just my problem. Oldest supporting cast, they're just doing their roles. If they're returning characters, they're just playing the characters. Again, from what I've seen, it seems like they never left, and they're just, playing the role, especially Harry, or at least not Android Harry. And I have no complaints. What else? Again, I like the androids. I love that their weapons are fairly simple. They just shoot bullets out of their fingers. Yes, it's a lot like the Autons when you think about it, but I just like that. It's simple, but still cool. Plus, I kind of even giggle when the Doctor looks back at one of the androids and says, "Is that finger loaded?" I don't know. I think it works. I thought they were cool. Simple. It was obviously just a frame that clumsily was crossfaded into looking like whatever actor it was pretending to be, and having a prop head that had a face that flipped off to do a cool reveal here and there. But other than that, the androids looked cool. They served their purpose as androids. Obviously, there's no performance there or not. When any of the actors were androids, they simply played it cold, which works. Even the lighter people, because there is a beginning where they go to a village and they notice it's deserted. And then all of a sudden androids start filling in a pub and they act cold at first, which I don't know if that's impossible to do. I don't think that's hard to do. But I don't know. I bought it. I didn't see a bunch of extras just try to pretend. It came off like they were all cold, which I liked. Here's the thing, though. There's plot holes. Just when you realize, yeah, this plan's just not necessary. They could have done something else to do it. Well, they didn't even need to trick the guy. They could have done a simple hide situation and, secretly kidnap people and replace the... That's what I thought the story was going. And then it's a different kind of escape, and it just comes off weird. There's decent action, too, I want to point out. But, yeah, all in all, it's above average when you really do think about it, because Unit's just kind of there. They didn't even need to be there. That's the thing. A lot of this stuff just didn't need to happen. You just could have had people fly in and... You could have done it a different way, that's all I'm saying. Not to mention it was just... It just seemed like, yeah, this is just a regular... This isn't anything creative. This is kind of a been there, done that type of story, it seems. But good action, overall good performances, and some good twist here and there make it definitely one to... I'd say check out. Buy up front, I don't know, because though the DVD has some cool extras too on it, it's one worth checking out. You're going to have to decide for yourself if it's a buy or not.